Welcome to NEQ, where we speak to the doers and thinkers shaping a world drowning in static. Because when everyone's talking, NEQ listens to the people who matter, people with no equal. On today's episode, we have a hotelier with nearly 30 years of experience across Asia and Europe. In recent times, he has been moving rapidly from the general manager of the Cinnamon Grand, Colombo, to the area vice president of Cinnamon City Hotels to his present position as the chief operating officer of Cinnamon City Hotels and Resorts, leading operations across the brand's 17 resorts and hotels in Sri Lanka and Maldives. Welcome, Kamal.
Good to be here, man. Thank you for getting me on the program.
You're welcome. To start with, your early years began with hotel school in Switzerland. You left Sri Lanka to go to Switzerland and go to hotel school there, where you worked, once you were done with hotel school, I think you worked for the Movenpick brand.
Started with Movenpick, yes.
Started with Movenpick. When did you first realize that hospitality wasn't just a career, but a calling for you?
Oh, wow, that's a big one. I think, when I started in hospitality industry, actually, how I came to hospitality industry is also coincidence. But when I got into industry, I had no idea whatsoever what this industry is about. But when I went to Switzerland, I started meeting a lot of people, different types of people coming from different backgrounds, different cultures. I started meeting all these new interesting characters, which I thought it's a very interesting area to be, because when you're working with people, your job is moving with people, your guests, your staff, your partners, it's all to do with people, right? And as I moved along in my career, going into about maybe 10 years, because early years, what you do is you do most of the operational stuff. I started as a waiter, cook, and then I moved on the ranks. But I realized, being with people is what I like doing, and also seeing how people evolve, how people are happy coming to our hotels, how our team's making them happy and they leave with lots of memories for a lifetime. I thought this is, a really a good place to be, right? Because it gives you self-satisfaction. So that's when I thought, this is really a calling rather than a career.
That leads to my next question.
Right.
You were described by a close friend of yours as being a smooth operator.
Right.
And you were described also as being a PR man's PR man. And generous to a fault, you are a people's person. And I've watched you at the Cinnamon Grand in the lobby. I've always seen you walking around there, talking to your clients, talking to the people, in-house guests. So you obviously enjoy what you do.
You can't do this job without enjoying what you do, because because you are really, like I told you earlier, you are moving with people, all kinds of people. So if you don't enjoy being with people, talking to people, making them happy, whether it's staff, partners, or the guests, you can't be doing this job. You will get frustrated.
I can imagine. But it is a job which also leaves you. It doesn't give you very much time, does it? Because I've seen you around there at 11 o'clock in the night, at 10 o'clock in the night, early in the morning. It has no hours to it.
Hospitality is a lifestyle for me. You live your life like a real hospitality person, right? Because in this industry, it's a 24/7 operation. It doesn't mean that we have to work 24/7. Of course, you will have your downtime. You will take your time off. You will be away. But your operation runs 24/7, right? And you as leaders, sometimes you have to be available. You have to be reachable. If you feel that it's going to be a disturbance, that people reaching out to you at odd times, and that's going to be a problem. But you also have to build up a proper team that can take up the responsibilities, who your guests are going to trust, and doesn't need to have the GM's presence or the leader's presence all the time. So if you build that, and it becomes your lifestyle, like I told you, then I think you will not regret.
Before you came to Sri Lanka, you worked across Europe, if I'm not mistaken. You worked in Malaysia. You worked in Vietnam. I think you came to Sri Lanka and then went back for a spell to Vietnam, if I'm not mistaken. And I think the reason, at least what I was in conversation, the reason you always came back to or wanted to come back to Sri Lanka was the fact that your parents were here at that time,
Kind
and
of.
you wanted to be
My father
closer to.
mainly. My
Yeah,
father at the first time when I came back,
that's
because my
right.
mother passed away a long time ago,
Right.
2006, while I was in Switzerland. I came and spent quite some time with her before she passed away, luckily, fortunately. But then my father was alone, so one of the reasons for me to come back at that time in 2008 was my father was alone for about 2 years. He came to stay with me in Switzerland, but winters are tough for him,
I can imagine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so came back for the first time back to Sri Lanka because of, yeah.
And you've been in Sri Lanka for about 5 years now?
Now, yes, my third time coming back to Sri Lanka since I left in 1990. It's been 5 years. I came back to Sri Lanka in 2020. That time I came back because of my son. My father was living with me in Malaysia, but my son was growing up too fast. I was missing too much.
Basketball as well?
Everything what he was doing, so I decided I have to come back and spend time with him.
Right. And your coming back, I think, has been hugely beneficial to the Cinnamon Grand brand. I know you don't want to say it yourself, but I'm saying it because I can see.
I can't say that. It has to
Yeah,
be,
I know. But what has been the biggest challenge you have faced during the last 5 years? And how did it shape who you are today? Because you have been changing from role to role, and now you're sitting in a role which you have so many things under you.
Yeah, I think if I look back 5 years ago when I came back, I didn't come back to work for Cinnamon. First of all,
Yeah.
I came back on my own.
That's right.
But the Cinnamon opportunity came, and I started talking to the teams. I ended up joining Cinnamon Lakeside first in October 2020, in the midst of COVID. Um, I joined 1 month later. There's lockdowns in Sri Lanka, so we had to really look at operating hotels in a different way. Keeping the motivation going of the people, because the hospitality industry, as you know, our team members depend on the service charge, right? And when you have zero business, there's no service charge,
There's no social.
right? And how would you keep a group of 700, 800, 1,500, 2,000 people motivated to do what they're supposed to do? Even if there's one guest coming, we need to deliver, right? So that was the biggest challenge over the period of COVID, going into the economic crisis era, 22, 23. Yeah, so keeping that team together, making sure that they're motivated, they have something to look forward to, was the biggest challenge. So we looked at, as a team, what can we do during this time? One thing that we thought is, community need help. We can start a community program. It's not money making, but at least it'll keep our teams engaged, and we'll have a worthy cause to take care of the community there who is in need. We started a program called Meals That Heal, which won award. But more than the award, we managed to actually take care of thousands of people, making sure providing meals for them. That is done purely from the Colombo hotels, Cinnamon Grand, Cinnamon Lake, and Cinnamon Red. Then we started another program taking care of the schools in and around our area. Even though we are in Colombo, you won't believe how many schools are need in meals, right? It's right in the middle of Colombo 3, Colombo 2, where we operate, right? So we took care of that program. So our cooks get involved, our teams, the marketing teams, PR teams, everybody gets involved. There was a whole program going on. Then we needed to also get some revenue generation, so we started delivery, flavors, cinnamon flavors. Between that time, we didn't have Cinnamon Life, but between the three hotels, we had about good 20, 21, 22 restaurants. So we curated a menu that we can deliver anything you want with our own staff, and we deliver to your doorstep. So we got the ball rolling. People get at least something, and they have something to do. We could take care of our customers who've been loyal customers for the last 20 years with Cinnamon, last 50 years with Oberoi, right? So we really, that was our strategy, to keep the people going motivated, and they see that there's something bigger coming going forward, because if not, they would have not known what to do.
Exactly.
One big thing working for John Keels, what I found is we have not laid off a single employee, not just Cinnamon Hotels, but in entire holdings, I think. So that was a great thing that, as a conglomerate, what they did during that time. Salaries paid, no pay cuts. At least they were taken care of. Then we started working on building business, especially bringing in sports tourism, because we had isolated hotels. We could give them a whole hotel. We could isolate them, and you can have your own hotel. And we have teams servicing them, taking care of them. Then cricket started playing, other games started playing. So we started generating some business, bringing in some people from outside to Sri Lanka. We had the Australian teams, South African teams during that time. They went to play golf, all isolated, in isolation, keeping in line with the COVID guidelines. So that was a huge challenge we had in how we keep them motivated, keep them looking forward for something in the future, and that's how we actually as a team work to keep them going.
I have a personal experience with Meals That Heal, because in the recent disaster that took place, a friend of mine in the entertainment business who had decided to help people and move people out and all that. And I came and spoke to your present GM at Silvan Grand, and he immediately gave them about 1,000 packs to distribute, which is a big deal. But I think you're sending out much more than that, and that's great to see a hotel helping the community, which leads me to the next one. How does Cinnamon Hotels and Resorts reflect Sri Lanka's authenticity while competing on a global stage?
Yeah, competing on a global stage, I think one thing is a lot of global brands are coming to Sri Lanka now, right? Up until 2018, we kind of had the monopoly. There's not many big brands operating in Sri Lanka, but from post 2018, we've been having a lot of entrance to the global market and to Sri Lanka market, Colombo market especially. One thing that you need to do in this industry is keep evolving, because the hospitality trends keep changing, and you need to really be out there understanding what are the travel behaviors, how people think about it, and what they want to see and what they want to do and what they want to experience when they travel. And those trends keep changing. Now if you look at the Gen Zs and even maybe even our generations, right? We have changed our travel patterns and what we want to see and what we want to experience when you're traveling. So it's very important to be informed of what are the new travel behaviors and the patterns are, and also how to compete in that global stage is be authentic, because we, being a Sri Lankan brand, homegrown brand, our vision is to bring the best of Sri Lanka to the world with style and elegance as Cinnamon Hotels and Resorts. But that does not mean that we want to bring the mass and the Sri Lankan food and everything else, but it's the Sri Lankan authentic hospitality. What is Sri Lankan authentic hospitality? Is the genuine care, the warmth, the smile that you see all around the island, and that's what people know about when you talk about Sri Lanka. So we want to be the communicator of that in the global stage as Cinnamon Hotels and Resorts. We are operating in Maldives, but our service standards, our delivery of experience will always relate to that authentic Sri Lankan genuine hospitality and care. So that's the thread that connects wherever we're going to operate in the future in the world, and that's the thread that connects the Cinnamon Hotels and Resorts, and that will be our differentiator.
You have almost 2,000 rooms, right, in Colombo?
Little less, yeah, almost there. Yeah.
Almost there, right? And you need to fill those rooms
Yes.
through thick and thin.
Yeah, that's the only thing, because what we are known for and what we want to deliver is to be the destination experts. So, there are a lot of hotels. Maybe we don't want to be a cookie cutter operation. Like you have one set of standards that goes along across all our hotels. Our delivery, our experience, what we want to offer differs from the destination where we operate. So we want to be authentic, we want to be connected with the destination, we want to be connected. If you go to Habarana, for example, we are connected with the village, we are connected with the wildlife there, and we do quite a lot like elephant gathering. When the big elephant migration is happening, we are doing a global event. We're bringing global personalities who talks about elephant gathering and elephant movements and and those kind of activities. So we really want to make sure that we connect with the destination and we give that experience to our travelers, because the travelers now, they don't really look for the luxurious things, but they want to be connected and they want to be inspired with what we do. So that's our duty, and that's what we are working on.
But you also do a lot of things using the fact that you're last cinnamon and because the hotels are there. You'll do a lot of things that make headlines.
Yes, that's true. That's true. I mean, first of all, we need to make sure that our destination is known in the global hospitality arena. So we put the destination first before cinnamon hotels and resorts. If you follow us over the last 5 years, we have invested a lot in promoting the destination, whether it's the Mrs. World for Mrs. India for Mrs. World. We hosted that entire event in Sri Lanka with us. We have hosted multiple big chefs we have brought into Sri Lanka. One thing is to, of course, let the world know that the culinary experience in Sri Lanka is something, not just Sri Lankan experience, but that's mixed with the international exposure. That's why cinnamon hotels and resorts, we always look at how we can promote the destination, because the more people get to know about the destination, the more people will get to know about our hotel, and it's up to us, deliver an authentic experience and make them a loyal guest to cinnamon hotels and resorts. So that's our always, that's been the focus.
Looking back, which decision in your career are you most proud of and why?
I have taken some risks, and that has paid off very well, I think, and at least in my opinion. Early stage of my career, I was focusing on food and beverage. I was part of the culinary, and I was part of, like in doing restaurant services, and I grew up in the food and beverage scene, so to say, in a hospitality language, right? I came to a level, I was working with the Zurich Marriott Hotel, and then I said, enough of working with the hotels. I want to join a standalone restaurant chain. That's Mövenpick hotel brand, but they had a beautiful restaurant chain in Switzerland, in Zurich. So I joined the chain after being almost heading the F&B division at Zurich Marriott Hotel. I did that for about a year and a half. I gained the experience. Then I thought, I want to see the other side of hospitality operation. That's rooms division. That's front office, housekeeping, recreation. Because my aim was to be a GM when I'm 40, right? So I called my ex-boss, Chris Lang, at the Zurich Marriott, and I said, look, Chris, I want to learn what you're doing. I want to join the front office and rooms division. How can you help me? He said, she calls me Kami. Kami, you have no experience. What are you talking about? If you want, you can start from the bottom. You come in as a night auditor. I'll give you a night shift. You learn and you work your way up. So I said, okay, I'll take it, right? From a department head level, going back to the rank and file, starting from the floor again, right? So I did that for about 6 months. There was a new project that came. So Chris knew my capabilities in food and beverage, and that project was a mix of food and beverage and rooms division. Then she said, why don't you head this project, right? So I headed the project, completed the project. And after the project, my GM, Hans-Jörg Hefel, who actually helped me a lot in my, shaping up my career. He said, okay, you've done your rooms division part, you've done your food and beverage. I need a permanent duty manager for the hotel. And, because when the ex-com and the GM leaves the hotel at 5 o'clock, there's no one really responsible out there. I said, why don't you take over the job as the permanent duty manager? So I ended up taking over the permanent duty managership. So I think, that was a risk that I took in, building up my career, but I think it paid off well. I could have gone wrong as well, but I was fortunate, and also I had the right support, right guidance. So I think that was worth taking that risk.
And now you're sitting right there. Where to next, Kamal?
Wow, good question.
Where to next?
Good question. Let's see. There's a lot to do in building up the hospitality industry, especially here in Sri Lanka, in Colombo. Colombo has a huge responsibility to, build tourism for the entire country, actually. And now that we have all these big hotels, we need to start filling this, right? Because that's when you really start reaping the benefits of having all these great products here, right? So that's going to be a focus. We're going to, work with our teams, making sure that we work on the operational excellence, brand excellence across our brand, all our portfolio, making sure that we are getting our teams ready for the next generation of hospitality industry, and delivering authentic Sri Lankan experience. So that's the focus. Let's see what's next.
By listening to you, you have a huge amount of optimism, and I think you're firm in the belief that Sri Lankan tourism is going to boom.
I think so. There's no reason not to.
There's no reason not to.
Because we have all the ingredients. If you look at within a matter of 3 to 4 hours, you can be in a beach, you can be up in a mountain, you can be in the middle of the jungle, you can be in the rainforest, you can be up in the hill country plucking tea. So,
if I'm not mistaken, somebody described the whole country as a film set.
Yes.
It's
you want underwater diving.
Yeah,
you
it's
want
all there.
Everything is there.
Who has influenced your leadership style the most, and what did you learn from them?
So I briefly touched upon one of my great supporters of my career, Hans-Jörg Hefel, who was my F&B director when I was at Zurich Marriott when I started the career there. Then he became the GM. He has given me a lot of guidance in how to maneuver, handling different types of situations, because and also guiding me to show where I should head next and why I should do that and what is the support I need. Has given me tremendous amount of exposure, assigning me into all the right development programs.
So he was almost like a mentor to you.
Great mentor to me. And then when I came to Asia, when I moved to Vietnam for the first time in 2010, I met one of my ex-colleagues who used to work with me in Zurich Marriott, Doris Machad, Austrian lady, tough GM. She took me as her number 2. And that's where I really learned what a GM's role is, because she has won the best general manager award at Marriott at that time. It's called Mustang Award. What I saw in her is she's not a person managing the hotel from her office. You have to feel the pulse of the people, right? You have to feel the pulse of the operation. And she would go into the kitchen, she would go into the kitchen stewarding, she would go into housekeeping. So that's the other good thing, when you have these kind of people, you can bring them here and give our team exposure. So Chris will be doing a workshop here with our teams, so which will help them to kind of understand how that part of the world works and how they think about hotel operation and what they do differently. So that's very important.
If you could give one piece of advice to young hoteliers aiming to make a mark, what would it be?
I think resilience is one big. I think it's a big word, but hospitality industry is an industry that gets impacted with everything that happens in the world. Whether it's a storm, whether it's pandemic, whether it's economic crisis, you name it. Anything that happens, the first things that get hit is the hospitality industry. So you really need to have a lot of courage and working through those difficult times, I think, and the young people coming into the hospitality industry, that's one thing that I think you should really, be looking at, and equally important that you need to be around people. You need to feel comfortable working with people, moving with people, talking to people, building confidence, about yourself, to be out there, to meet people and talking to them.
As a layman, I know we have a hotel school that churns out lots of graduates who go into hotels. Do we have other institutions like that here in Sri Lanka, or
yeah,
is it just?
We have quite a few. Actually, we have quite a few. The one that we added a year ago with Cinnamon Hotels and Resorts, the Cinnamon Hospitality Academy. We built this because we saw we are going to have a brain drain in the hospitality industry. We saw that coming about 3 years ago, but we had to look for the right partner. We had to, work out the programs. So we partnered up with École Hôtelière de Lausanne. École is the world's #1 hospitality program out of Switzerland. Bowers & Co. in Sri Lanka has the rights to operate and deliver this curriculum in Sri Lanka. So we partnered up with Bowers, and we opened our hospitality academy at Cinnamon Grand exactly a year ago in November 26th. So it's 1 year old. We have 133 students. The program is built in 3 segments, that is food and beverage, culinary, and operations. Operations is front office and housekeeping. Complete program is 3 years. It's a learn, work, and earn program. So you learn 2 days of the week. You put that into practice 4 days a week for 6 months. And then the second 6 months, you go full on working in your department, in your discipline, and working in real life scenario. That's either Cinnamon Grand, Cinnamon Lake, Cinnamon Red, Cinnamon Life, one of the Cinnamon hotels. So at the end of your 3 years, when you graduate as a diploma holder, you have world-class educational qualification, plus you have 1.5 years of experience working with Cinnamon Hotels and Resorts.
Plus, you most probably might have a hotel that you can move straight into.
Exactly. There's opportunities with Cinnamon Hotels and Resorts. There are lots of opportunities always, with the hotel, Cinnamon Hotels and Resorts. We have 17 resorts, like you mentioned earlier. So, yeah, there are lots of openings always.
Kamal, it's been very, very enjoyable chatting to you and getting an insight into Sri Lanka's tourism and hoteliering industry. I must say I really admire the way you've been climbing up there. You've become the mover and shaker of the hotel industry now in Colombo. Everybody says that, it's just not me. And that's great to watch. You are a people's person. You are a PR man's PR man. So that's added qualification. And lovely having you, and hoping to chat with you again soon.
Thank you, Imran.
Thank you.
It was really great chatting with you, giving some insights to where I'm coming from and what I've been doing. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks for watching. If you got any cues for any cue, send them our way. Until next time, stay focused, stay passionate, stay unequal.